Welcome to the program today. Ted Williams with you, and it's good to have you tuned in. Today in our studio, we have with us two of the wrestlers from Georgia Championship Wrestling. That's Tommy Rich and his cousin, Johnny Rich. And, of course, many of you heard of Tommy Wildfire Rich. And, Johnny, you're a newcomer, at least, to Georgia Championship Wrestling, and we want to welcome you both to the program.
Thank you.
And maybe we can start off with Johnny and tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started in wrestling.
Well, I wrestled a little bit when I was in high school, and after I got out of high school, Tommy always, I always asked Tommy, what the best thing would be to do to get started in the wrestling business. So I worked for a while and wrestled on the side for a while. I refereed for 6 months or so before I started, and then I just started getting my matches, as they come along and working my way up.
So you started wrestling in high school, you say. Where did you go to high school?
In Montgomery, Alabama.
Alabama, and then since then, after you wrestled in high school, you went out and went right to work, or did you go to college first?
No, I worked for a living, had to get by,
right,
make some money, get some
food.
And
then you got into wrestling. How long have you been wrestling professionally now?
Professionally, about 1.5 years now.
Yeah. And are you married?
No.
And do you have any girlfriends?
Yeah, several.
I have to get these questions out of the way because I know a lot of our viewers are interested in knowing that.
Yeah.
And Tommy, it's good to have you with us once again. You
were
here before. And maybe some of our folks just recently got interested in wrestling and they missed the last broadcast. Maybe you could tell us, you're having a little bit of problems with your throat, so if you hear them a little hoarse or something, you'll understand. Tommy, where are you from again, and how did you get started?
Nashville, Tennessee, originally.
Mm-hmm. And how did you get started in wrestling?
I grew up around it and just used to go to the matches when I was a kid, and I wrestled in high school. And when I got out of high school, a friend of my family's was a wrestler, and I talked to them, and I trained about 1 year before I ever started wrestling, and then I started wrestling. And I've been very lucky. I started in Tennessee, later come to Georgia, and Georgia's become home, and, Channel 17 going all over the country, World Championship Wrestling, and it's good to be a part of that, and I've been very lucky. And just like Johnny was saying earlier, I told him to get a job too when he first started, but he just, if you want something, you go out and get it. You got the heart, the desire, and he wanted to do it, and he didn't take no for an answer. I got a little brother that wanted to do it, but he did, he on the basis that he's got him a good job, and so he's going with his job. But Johnny wanted to start, he wanted to be a wrestler, stuck it out, and now he's doing all right.
Johnny, you mentioned you wrestle in high school. What are some of the differences between high school and professional wrestling?
It's a lot of difference. Just it's a lot rougher, for one thing. They have rules in amateur wrestling where if you can't pick the guy up or something. And so there's really no way to get actually hurt in amateur. You can get hurt, twisting an ankle or something, but you can get hurt seriously in professional wrestling.
Do you think your high school background has helped you in your professional career?
Sure it does. It all helps. The more, I learn every day, every night I go out and wrestle, I learn something new, it seems like. And I just try to. Experience is the best thing, just like anything else. Wrestling's the same way. You go out there and you learn from your mistakes, and that's what I'm doing right now, just trying to learn.
Of course, you mentioned Tommy was someone that you looked up to as far as getting into wrestling and so forth.
That's
Who are some of your other favorite wrestlers?
Well,
that maybe meant something to you or means something to you now that maybe you can follow or are an inspiration to you?
Well, I really never had, an idol. So far,
He's ribbing it was me.
No, Tommy, he's taught me a lot. He's worked with me so much, and I've been lucky myself. He says he's lucky, but I've been lucky more than he has, I believe, because he's helped me go through some of the things that he went through that I don't have to go through. So that's helped me out a lot, So.
Tommy, if some people were interested in perhaps getting into professional wrestling themselves, and they see Tommy Wildfire Rich on TV and all the girls and all the little kids chasing after him, man, that's what I'd like to do. What advice would you have to them?
just like I said, if they've got the heart, the desire, and want to do it, you know, they've got wrestling schools. You find one, you go to it, and if you're tough enough, you stick it out and you make it, and if you're not, you don't.
Mm-hmm. Other than Johnny Rich, who would you like to perhaps team up with as a tag team partner and maybe perhaps go all the way to the top?
I don't know. You know, mostly I wrestle in singles. You know, right now I'm wrestling singles. And Ric Flair, he's got the World Heavyweight title. And Tommy Rich had that for a while, and that's something I got my eye on. And maybe when Johnny gets ready, you know, he's not ready, quite ready. He's been wrestling a little over a year. He's not ready for tags. He's not, you know, not yet to the extent of going for some big belts and stuff. And that's probably when I'll go into some tags.
Who are some of the wrestlers we asked Johnny earlier? Who are some of the ones that maybe are an inspiration to you or that you look up to?
Well, one of my favorite would have to be Roddy Piper because he wears penny loafers. Anybody that wears penny loafers has got to be cool, right? No, I don't know. You know, I've had a lot of people. Wahoo McDaniels has helped me. Let's see, you know, I've had a different wrestling number two, you know.
Cost me $110 for these. You get a special, and penny loafers, ain't no pennies in there, and it's fine. I don't want to penny.
Yeah.
No short back there.
Yeah.
Previously, we did a television interview with Roddy Piper, and he's there in the studio.
Yeah, no, but and just like I said, Wahoo McDaniels. There's been a lot of guys wrestling number two, you know, different guys that's took an interest in Tommy Rich and helped me a whole lot. And that's just like with Johnny, he's learning now. And sometimes, you know, you can like some different moves that wrestling too or Wahoo's taught me, and they've been an inspiration. You know, like Wahoo told me once before, you know, he played football for the New York Jets. And he said, you know, he told me, him and me were in tags, he said, you've got to have that killer instinct. You know, sometimes you're too nice. You know, that's Tommy Rich, you know, kick back, I take it easy. He said, you got to get that killer instinct. And in professional wrestling, if you want to make it, it's in any other sport. When it comes down to the Super Bowl, you got two of the top teams there. And the toughest team is the team that wants it the most. That's the team that's going to come out with it all. And in professional wrestling, it's the same thing. You go in, you give it 110%, and unless you got that killer instinct to where you're going to go out there and win. And sometimes you fight guys, and, you know, they break the rules. Well, sometimes you got to do it, too. That ain't Tommy Rich's style, but Tommy Rich can do it.
And, of course, Roddy Piper mentioned that earlier on a previous broadcast, that if you just follow the rules, you don't get anywhere. And you mentioned that it's not your style to break rules, that you like to follow the rules. And what about people like Austin Idol?
Well, Roddy Piper and myself don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. I mean, you know, he's, you know, just cause him and Ole Anderson's fighting don't mean that him and me is the best of friends, you know. I ain't forgot, you know, what happened between us, but it's past tense. And right now I've got something Buzz Sawyer. I'm looking at him, and, you know, it's just like, it's one of the things. You go through phases and stages, just like Willie Nelson sings it. Right now, Buzz Sawyer, you know, that's who I want. Just like I said, I'd like another shot at the World Heavyweight title, but right now I got my eyes set on Buzz Sawyer, and that's who I'm going to get.
When does of course you're both too young to know it personally, but when does a professional wrestler burn out? A baseball player be about 34, 36?
Well, no, that's not necessarily right either. It's according to, you know, some football players last 5 years and some football players last 25 years. It's according to how many times you get hurt. You can see right there, my finger's been busted. You know, I've had my knee messed up. You know, it's according to, you know, just how long you can last. 5, you know, some guys last 5 years, some guys don't even last a year, some might last 20 years, you know. I've seen wrestlers that's been in the business 20 years that can go with any young kid that's around today.
Okay. And Johnny, we want to ask you a few more questions here as far as maybe your hopes or goals. Tommy mentioned earlier that you're still getting ready, still getting experience. Are you shooting for the perhaps the national heavyweight championship first and then the world, or are you going right for the world, or maybe looking into tag teams?
Well, I'm going to really just be concerned with getting better. Just going out every night, giving it 110%, and learning as much as I can, so that maybe someday, if we ever do tag up, then when I go out there and when I come back, I'll know I've done the best I can. And so if we win or lose, you know, of course we're going to try to be winning. But
See, that's like a football team. You go out there when you wrestle, you know, it's all up to you. And in a tag team, you know, you go out, football team, you know, you might get beat 31-0. Well, this guy, he can blame it on him or he can blame it on him. He didn't hold his end up. Professional wrestling comes down to the point that if it's a single match, I mean, if you lose yourself.
It's an individual
A tag
sport.
match, it's a 50-50 deal. And you want to always be able to hold your end up, and you never want to have to put that blame. You want to be man enough to take it and stride it. If you got your tail whipped, you got your tail whipped. And come back and do it again. That's just like I said, you give it 110%. Ain't got nothing to be ashamed of.
Well, we're just about out of time, and maybe some of the listeners have some questions that they'd like to ask you. Now, what is your address?
It would be 100 Techwood Drive, Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, thank you.
that'd be right.
Thank you for being with us.
You done
That's
lost your
all for the
voice now.
program today. I'm losing my voice now, too. Ted Williams with you.
Catchy.
Join us again on the next program.